Scout, of course, was quite good with that already early on in the tournament versus DK. No more Gnar, though. Breathe has crazy Gnar stats. They flashed it after that game, further improving. So no more Gnar option, at least for him, for side lane.
Weibo doing it again. They're willing to take the Yone for Aurora trades. I mean, you mentioned it, Medic. While Scout did not die in his Yone game, I would argue that his impact overall wasn't as much felt as Zika's Jax.
True.
Which makes me wonder if Weibo will look to take it away. Perhaps Breathe will look to prioritize it. I think it can be great into the Yone as well, and a very effective denial pick.
For a second, I heard the crowd here in Paris go, oh, yeah. And then realize it's never going to be Fiora. Instead, it is the Jax for Breathe alongside Aurora for Xiaohu.
I mean, people, since Yone became such a big topic at the tournament so early on, people were then cooking up, you know, the lane counters and stuff, and getting excited for stuff like Fiora. But you have to take the Aurora on this side, and then you pair it with the Jax for two very, very strong solo laners for yourselves for the side of Weibo. So honestly, I think that this trade actually looks quite good for them. It is, of course, going to be at the cost of your jungle power. The Sejuani, as we mentioned last time, always supplementing the Yone, plus the Renekton here, the double melee solo laners, the go-to for skirmishing on the top side of the map.
I want to remind people, Game 2 was very much in Weibo's hands. If they hadn't extended on those Nexus Tower pushes, we could have been at a 3-0. And this top side, once again, very similar from what we saw from LNG in that game.
That is a key takeaway, though.
Yep.
The Ezreal to steal away from Gala, because Gala was the one that did the most damage in that game for LNG, and Light also an exceptional Ezreal player.
And now you can ban away Kai'Sa and Ashe. And as I say that, Kai'Sa's already banned away. Wouldn't be surprised to see LNG ban things like the Braum out. With this melee topside, Braum is the last champion that you want to play up against. They could also consider banning away the Poppy.
Or Renata also, like
Renata
all these things that are hard for you to play melee into, but there are so many of them.
It might be another Amumu angle, by the way, Kobe. Like, it is a very AP-heavy topside. Merc Treads will gain a lot of value for sure, but we saw how effective Tarzan alongside Xiaohu could be with this Aurora Amumu combo. But there's that Ashe as well, so in terms of the AD carry pool, Weibo seem to look very happy.
Definitely agree there. All right, LNG, what's the thing you least want to play against when you're running triple melee topside that's looking to create plays?
I feel like Renata would be quite a good ban here from LNG. Get rid of something that can really stop you going in for those engages. Instead, they'll remove the Leona. And now Weibo can leave support for last, can pick jungle. They already know they're playing into that Sejuani. Or
and they take the Rakan.
Take the Rakan
that
away.
should have been obvious. They've been so concerned about Han getting his hands on it. And it's also a great pairing alongside the Ezreal. Great backline threat, good follow-up alongside the Jax. And it also leaves them open to get a full picture of what they're playing into before locking in their jungler. Now, bear in mind, Jarvan could also be a solid option here, given that Jhin won't have the mobility. But I do feel like that they'll lean more towards the Amumu.
There are a couple of them, yeah. The Jarvan, the Amumu, the Maokai as well still available. A lot of the things though, because you're, like you said earlier, you don't want to give them too high value on Merc Treads.
There's the Maokai.
And the Nautilus locked in for LNG. They have a great teamfighting composition. They can assassinate someone. They've got good pick as well with the hooks, with the Glacial Prison from Sejuani. The Maokai, as you say, locked in now for Weibo.
All right. I mean, you're sacrificing a lot of skirmishing power. Sejuani with this top side, very potent in the 2v2s, 3v3s, and Tarzan was getting bullied in the previous game. But in terms of team fighting strength, Weibo have a lot of tools.
I know the majority of people probably want to see this push to a Game 5, but I do prefer the Weibo draft in this one, especially the change in AD carries. It is a little bit of a change, but stealing away the Ezreal and then Gala back on this Jhin, I don't know. That one's a little bit risky. People love to hate on the Jhin and the low damage sometimes. We'll see if...
And for Weibo, they just got to keep doing what they're doing. Get the mojo, play the underdog card, and somehow come out on top again. No one expected them to beat LNG in the playoffs, nor top eSports. Obviously, they lost to BLG in the end, but then they beat JDG in the qualifiers. Everyone thought Weibo wouldn't even make it here to Worlds, and on the back of a player like Xiaohu, who has now tied the second most wins at Worlds, alongside Deft, and the second place kills across Worlds and MSI, having passed caps for that honor. I think a lot of people, you overlook Xiaohu because sometimes he can be a bit quiet. In summer, he was quiet until the playoffs came around, but this man is a man you doubt at your peril.
I mean, I completely agree. It's crazy to realize the accolades that he does have domestically and internationally. And very rarely do people put him as best mid laner all time alongside that of Faker. Because it's hard to, it's understandable.
Because he hasn't got what they truly covet, the World Championship.
Yep.
And so here, this run so incredibly important to Xiaohu because it was a rough summer for him. It's a rough year, so if they're able to keep this streak alive, these Weibo miracle runs that people have, honestly, you should be getting used to these by now. Last year Worlds, in playoffs like you're mentioning, see if Weibo can keep the magic alive.
Because it truly is magic for them. For LNG, came in to this series as the favorites, were in playoffs as the favorites, and now Zika and Scout trying to get some experience between the two of them to deal with the push that happens from Light and Crisp on the top side.
Xiaohu leveraging his passive beautifully, bullying LNG's solo laners out of this lane, but they get the push. That's what they wanted. Level 2 secured, the TP's gonna come through. LNG, they have 3 members on the bot side.
It's gonna be a dive.
He doesn't have level 3 just yet. No, it's not. The wave is too thin, and they decided to call it off.
Yeah, they know Crisp is on the way. Crisp acquired his level 2 already in that mid 2v2 that we were watching, and so they are not going to make the mistake of trying to force the dive here. Just answer on the opposite side with the teleport.
Scout getting caught out here. Xiaohu trying to put the damage down, and once again, we see Scout having to burn his flash early in the Yone versus Aurora matchup.
I mean, it's a difficult matchup for the Yone. He's done a good job so far, but the bigger situation to acknowledge in this swap is that Zika was much later on the TP than Breathe was, meaning he's a full level down right now. And he also, I mean, he's not at risk of getting dived, of course. He's isolated against Light Ezreal, but Breathe on the Jax, in a very comfortable spot here in the early game.
And honestly, Weibo pretty happy with Light getting solo experience up on this top side and has a pretty good time up here, constantly shoving in. Meanwhile, the defense for them on the opposite side of the map also going pretty well. I really want to highlight Tarzan though, because it's these small things where he takes a very efficient side path, getting that flash out of Scout so early on. I mean, now he gets kind of...
He's able to cover Light, and that's kind of the important thing here. Zika was looking for something onto Light there, couldn't find it.
Yeah, just slightly down on experience here. So he's 1 level down to the Sejuani, has to give over control of the river, just continually throw out those saplings though.
Is 2 camps down, and it looks like WeiWei should be able to path down towards the bottom side to get himself a double scuttle. Tarzan will go back towards his red. WeiWei might be able to gank Xiaohu in the mid lane here. At least burning his flash would be huge. Scout trying to build up that Mortal still. Q3, knock up on Xiaohu, has to flash away.
Good presence there from WeiWei to, at the very least, get that flash out from him. Scout's being up earlier means that there's potentially a play once Scout gets level 6 in the mid lane. Light, though, keeping his pressure on the top side as Weibo's top support combo looks to push out that bot wave. Zika with no TP, he's going to lose a decent amount of farm. Maybe Hung can hold the wave. Nicely done.
You can see WeiWei actually covering for this as well. If Crisp does go in, or Breathe does as well, WeiWei can dive forward. Hung's going to try and delay for as long as possible. It's taking about half his health to do it, but this is really well played by the LNG support. 1 minion down, will be 2, 3. Well, he gets the experience from the third, does Zika. He'll be very happy with Hung's sacrifice of HP to keep his minions around.
Yeah, every little bit of experience really matters once they match back up. If he's going to go toe-to-toe with Breathe once again, you assume that Breathe on the reset will head back down there. Yep. So it should be that. Meanwhile, Tarzan on the Maokai is on bottom half of the map right now as well. So much pressure here, though, towards mid lane. I wonder if they'll just cross, because Crisp on his reset is coming to hover.
Scout in a really difficult position right now just because he used his TP earlier once that initial play came through, and then Xiaohu TP's back with full HP.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a very difficult lane situation for him, and it's made worse by the fact that Crisp is now hovering around mid, and Scout, it's a risky wave to stay for.
Really wants to get that level 6 if he can.
Has to call Hung over to help him so he can take the wave at tower.
But overall, a very quiet early game.
Yeah, where's my level 1?
Yeah.
Where's my 5v5, Betty?
So far in this series, it's been a bloody affair. These teams have been no strangers to getting down and dirty. Normally teams take time to warm up on stage. Feels like they've just been cooling down.
Yeah.
You know?
And it does often happen when you get towards match point in a series like this, right?
It's
Both
true.
teams calm down. You don't want to throw the game level 1 by overstepping, like jumping onto Gala has a level advantage in that top side right now.
Scout has no teleport, so his recall right now, it was not on vision, but LNG are still able to go take first grub, even though they're on the timer where Scout is recalling and then heading bottom side, because they see that Breathe with no teleport on the Jax is still pushing the wave in. That was Smite invested from WeiWei though, so Tarzan should be able to...
Look at Zika.
He's on the flank, but Xiaohu's going to come across as well. That ultimate from the Aurora is available. They dive in. Meanwhile, on the bot side, Breathe is just farming minions. You can see Light's already got 1 kill. Between Worlds is a second as Zika falls as well. Weibo find 2, take 2 grubs as well.
A confident play there from Weibo as they're able to collapse with numbers first. WeiWei now isolated, trying to sacrifice. And he will get away with it. Nicely done there. But still, Weibo find 2 kills. They get 2 grubs. And Breathe is finding purchase in the bot side as well.
Yeah, Breathe was pushing that whole time. Had to be answered by Scouts. Goes to invade as well before getting his recall off. And that ward that he just dropped here behind Krugs will see the next clear and allow them to continue tracking WeiWei after the reset. We'll track Scout though, getting some turret play money at the very least on the bottom side of the map. It is Yone. You have to be worried about this champion always, but here's the setup.
It was just weird from LNG to decide to keep taking this fight, right? Because your AD carry's nowhere near the battle. You know you don't have TP on your top lane. Yeah, the curtains can open, but already 2 people are dead before anything really happens.
Yeah, I completely agree. You know, with Gala there, up in the tower, like Jhin can open up the ultimate, but it's so little, so late, and so much damage. There we go.
Daney with the great reactions all series long. We return to live, and at the bottom of your screen, if you're an LNG fan, then it's a scary situation to find yourself in.
Yeah, red. 400, almost 500 gold lead for Breathe on that Jax, already scaling up towards the Triforce spike. Mid lane as well. Xiaohu's already shown us his Aurora can be so powerful in game 2 here. Continue to do so. Across the board, leads for Weibo, and LNG found a little bit wanting. Weibo will be able to get the Drake as well. So this is 2 grubs, a dragon, 2 kills, almost a 2,000 gold lead, currently sitting about 1.5k their advantage. And really nothing for Weibo so far. They will start scaling up towards first items. You know, Yone on Blade of the Ruin King feels like a much more powerful champ than he does before you get there, but it's still a little bit of a while away. Scout is looking up towards this top side though. Breathe does have flash. He'll walk towards the river to try and get some vision and make sure that he's not being collapsed on.
They're certainly going to have to do something to change the direction of this game. Of course, on next grub spawn, that might be an opportunity for them to do so. Have to have a much better setup for it though. I mean, they do have the summoner spells to do it. Meanwhile, bottom side, Crisp here trying to get that deep vision. Again, Weibo have been so good at replacing their deep vision, allowing them the extra information to set up these plays. And Light here, the bombardment from bottom side, constantly keeping that up.
Doing it blind as well. It doesn't actually have vision around that corner. It can't quite see exactly where Hung is, but still hits him with a Mystic Shot with the True Shot Barrage. WeiWei trying to cover this top side. May look a bit of damage. You can sneak in here. Zika clearing out the minions to make sure that WeiWei can get a little bit further forward. But with Crisp on his way, it may just be cover. Breathe goes in with the Grandmaster's Might, and as soon as I say it, Breathe goes in for the bite. He flashes away. Quickness coming out from Crisp just to dissuade any further advances.
A great punish there from LNG, but Breathe, with his fancy feet, is able to navigate his way out of that situation. Still able to catch that top wave too, so no real damage done aside from losing his flash. Weibo hold on to their lead for now, but a really nice idea there from LNG.
Yeah, the lane gank from WeiWei sneaks in through the side brush with the Sejuani. I mean, this is what they invested their whole draft into. Top 3 picks, Renekton, Sejuani, and Yone. You know, so much synergy there. And yet, unable to get any kills with them with the early skirmishing power of the Sejuani. You know, the lane swap, of course, going a long way, but now the second pack of grubs that we have been looking forward to. After the reset here, they'll immediately start it off again.
Engage going in as they look to try and catch out Hung. He'll only land the dredge line onto Tarzan. Hung tries to flash the wall with the Trisha Barrage just going wide. Crisp is going to chase him down towards the bottom side, but LNG won't really care that their support is being chased out by Crisp. The Titans rush for a little shield into the dredge line. Hung still surviving. Crisp has to flash away, and WeiWei's on the chase, collapsing in. Crisp still finds him. Crisp trying to dash back to Xiaohu, will escape for the moment. The grubs as well. The prize for Weibo. Scout looking for a little bit more up towards the top side. WeiWei now locked up between two worlds, and Gala trying to put the damage down onto Xiaohu, but he can't hit what you can't see. Xiaohu finds another. Scout was unable to find anything on the top side, and Weibo will get 4 grubs.
And now it's just Weibo dominance. They get to their 4 grubs. They're going to grab an extra one. 5 bonus here, and the extra kills. Crisp exerts support dominance, Vedius. Tarzan's able to find the initiation onto Hung. They get the early advantage in the play, and Weibo now with control of the grubs, control of the dragons, and control of the series.
The way that this game is going, it feels like that it's just a matter of time for Weibo. They're playing with such confidence, with clean execution. Xiaohu, a player that was so monumental on the Orianna in the previous game, now stepping up once more on the Aurora. But I feel like that you can never afford to underestimate LNG with the direction that the game is going. As long as this Yone is in the game, they still have angles to turn it around.
It's good you put me in check, because right now I am underestimating LNG. Weibo just seem to be surging right now, and they're trying to play off their advantage.
Looking for a little bit more here as Zika steps a little bit too far. Tarzan goes in with the Bramble Smash, but doesn't follow up with a Twisted Advance, gets the Dominus out, and that will time out before Weibo advance for a second dive.
They get the flash, and that's all they wanted. Maybe play for plates as well. The arrival of WeiWei is crucial as the ulti comes through.
Dominus about to time out here. Zika, Glacial Prison hitting, but Xiaohu was able to dodge just outside of tower range, and now between two worlds. Go Weibo once again. Already Zika down. The rest of Weibo beginning to collapse here as WeiWei and Hung look for a little bit more. Dredge line hitting onto Tarzan, but the curtain call is tanked up by Weibo. Gala trying to join the fray here. Scout still pushing in the top lane. TP coming in by Scout as they look to take the battle underneath the tower. Breathe locked up for a second. He will fall to the turret as Weibo have found another, but have they overstepped? Scout snap back to reality. LNG only got 1.
The party in the bottom lane is actually going to move over to the mid lane. Tarzan running for his life towards his AD carry, but he gets
advance
snared.
to a minion. He got snared just in time. Instead, he goes to Tarzan. And Gala will reload and then put a shot in the back of the tree and find another for LNG.
It's 2 kills for LNG, finally on the board. But the damage that was done was still significant. More plates secured on the bot side of the map, more kills. And this dive from Weibo, the Aurora ultimate coming through, the Malignant proc finishing off Zika, and then WeiWei trying to catch Tarzan isolated, uses the W to try and sidestep CC, but this jungle support combo just doesn't have the damage.
The juggling of the tower aggro there, and then they return for the next part of the dive. They do teleport in Yone, and Hung actually with a nice pullback there onto Breathe, ensure that they get the kill on Jax under tower, and yet still, I feel like Xiaohu is the biggest winner once again on this Aurora. Is going to be such a big problem for LNG to deal with later, and he continues to get kills, continues to get richer and richer. Malignant's done here, like the ultimates are just going to keep coming.
Xiaohu's just in such a strong spot. He is a 3-0-2 and has been Weibo's player of the series. He's definitely up there in terms of the impact he's had in their games. And now you can see the MasterCard lane economy snapshot is all red for Weibo. They are in prime position to close this out. Would be the first red side win of this series too. They start to crack through these tier 1s. Scout will answer on the top side with one of his own. LNG will get their first Drake, the second of the game.
Look at mid.
Yeah, they've got a Rift Herald as well for Weibo if they want to continue this advance. Light will take the tower. And for the moment, that's all that Weibo wanted.
Weibo with such a dominant start to Game 3. For so much of this year, playoffs in spring, playoffs in summer, the regular season games, it was back and forth. It wasn't until that regional gauntlet that we saw LNG 3-0 Weibo, and the discussion was, well, Weibo literally just came off the back of a final. With time to prepare, with time to focus on the opponent at hand, Weibo have demonstrated a level of play that we didn't get to see from them in the Swiss stage. The question is, can they maintain it? We've already talked about LNG are not a team you can afford to underestimate, and this top side is going to be crucial in allowing them to find an angle back into this game.
I'm going to take a moment to shout out Crisp, as he is on screen right now. He's done so much to get and continue to keep up the deep vision for the team that creates plays. And there's so much talk about 2019 and, you know, Tien returning to Paris. But Crisp, also a world champion, and now he might have to make another play.
Hung looking for the flank here. They jump onto Tarzan first. They'll lock him up for a second. Weibo might lose their jungler before the fight really begins. And that's what's going to happen. Breathe tries to dive onto the backline, has the counter-strike. Gala cleanses a moment too early, but gets away from the between worlds. But Breathe slams him in the back of the lamppost, and that's another. Hung trying to do everything he can. Breathe doing so much work on the back here. Scout having to flash away. Breathe almost falling, but Crisp dances around and shields his top laner. In the end, Zika will get the kill, but Weibo are not done with him. They'll find another light on a killing spree.
In a 4 versus 5, Weibo turned the fight around. Breathe with unparalleled confidence, dives into the face of LNG and walks away the victors as they get a tier 2 turret as well.
Do you feel that? It's the Way Bros rising up. They are taking control of the entire map now, just demolishing LNG, taking their structures, taking the objectives, taking the team fight.
And keep your eyes on Breathe in the second half of this fight, because it is Tarzan that gets collapsed on. Without that big ulti engage to really follow up on, it doesn't. But look at Breathe, dives into onto Gala, gets the cleanse out. CC the follow-up Aurora ultimate onto 4 members as well to allow Breathe to get that kill onto Gala, who also flashed. Then the 3-man taunt from Crisp. Like this fight has so many highlight reels from the individual players of Weibo that it allows them to win and secure the tier 2.
There's just something about this team. There's something just undeniable about Weibo. When they get in a series that matters, they always come out on top. Made their way through the playoffs. Last year it was their way through Worlds until they finally met up against T1 and were stopped at that final hurdle. Here they're trying to make that run again. I don't think anyone would have put them as a team that would make it to the semi-finals, but right now they're on the cusp of it. The Riftel charging forward. Weibo 5 players strong towards this top side. LNG just hanging on to anything they can.
And the reason people are so surprised, I mean, Xiaohu may be a legendary player, but this was not a great year for him. But this game has definitely been great for him, as well as a Light here. 3 kills on the Ezreal, the consistent carry for the team. How are you going to get back and put any pressure on that Ezreal? Has the cleanse. LNG here are going to have to craft something spectacular to bring back the momentum of this series and push us to a Game 5.
And what I love about Weibo is when they're on the red side, they said, have your Yone, Scout. Go on, have it. We have a plan ready. They lost Game 2, then they just ran it back in Game 4 and they said, no, have it again. We don't care. We have a plan and we're confident in it, and that plan is paying off. This Aurora from Xiaohu is massive. Breathe on the Jax is massive. And this gold lead the Weibo have is pretty damn massive.
5K ahead. Weibo collapsing on this red side jungle. WeiWei looking for something.
Stole that.
Tarzan did manage to steal away the red and gets the hell out of there.
Oh my, that is Weibro energy right there. In the face of 3 members, he steals away the red buff. And Weibo just continuing their dominant presence on the map.
I think we're going to have a Moment of calm, and this dragon does arrive on the rift. Teleport ready for Xiaohu. He catches that last wave up on the top side that Scout was able to push into tower. Going back to base to purchase his Leandries right now, I would believe. Does he have enough gold for it? He does. Huge item here for the next fight.
He's going to be in such a strong position. Scout sitting short right now. Wants to get up towards that stride breaker. Will want to get himself back. Zika looking to try and catch out Breathe. Does do so. He's a level down though, and I'm not sure that's a fight he really wants to take for too much longer. Weibo setting up around the Baron. It feels like any fight could be the death knell for LNG, and as much as we talk about the might of Weibo, you have to see the other side. LNG were looking for redemption after getting knocked out in quarters last year. Tarzan was on that team. They never really lived up to the promise that the team could deliver. And here to fall short in a fratricide quarter-final would be just so disappointing for them as a squad. You have to remember the problems that they had at the start of the tournament as well. Scout maybe not even joining the team until the last few moments, now here with them. And to underperform at the final, well, not quite the final hurdle, but the penultimate one at least would be devastating to say the least.
Yeah. I like that you focus on Tarzan, you know. Last year's World, him and Scout, especially the play in mid lane versus T1 versus Faker.
Oh, yeah.
So much was made of that. But this year, on this new team, so big for Tarzan. 10 MVPs during the group stage in summer. And now, one big game in their sights. They have the advantage. They have the setup, control around Baron, the extra gold, plenty of split push power with Breathe's Jax to set up the map in their control, and Light with double summoners on an untouched Ezreal.
A tense situation as LNG must really feel the pressure. With their tournament lives on the line, they're fishing for that play. 2 items finished for Scout. Bear in mind, the farm for Xiaohu has not been great this game, and as a result, there is a healthy experience lead for Scout. In the side lane, he is a threat, but Breathe right now is the one keeping him under control. LNG herded into their topside jungle as Vision is slowly suffocated. Weibo encroaching on that territory.
And as much as Scout being strong is important for LNG, you can see him in the top lane right now. Gala is less than a mosquito right now. The Mortal Reminder and the Static Shiv is not going to melt anyone, especially when they're ahead of you. You can see Tarzan has the Randuins and the Locket already complete. He can put some damage down, he can get put on the Grievous Wounds, but really, the fights come down to whether Scout can get onto Light on that backline, whether Xiaohu puts down a good Between Worlds. That Aurora ultimate controls so much space when used correctly. Currently, Xiaohu will be dealing with Zika in the bot lane, and Breathe is joining up with his team towards the Baron.
I always love watching Xiaohu on the split push too, because he's so careful. Just hovering back there on the Aurora, plenty of disengages, collects the wave while the rest of the team try and control the other half of the map. But LNG just made a strong push. They just dropped these wards over by Baron, and as soon as you say that, Tarzan and Chris move in.
Yeah, WeiWei's gonna have to Arctic Assault across, and you can see Crisp immediately reacting to the fact that Scout jumps in with that Mortal Steel. Xiaohu now has the Seeker's Arm Guard as well for this next fight. So important that he can jump in and then have that stasis to buy himself a little bit of time to make sure the rest of Weibo can follow up.
Look at this Vision coverage. There's a deep control ward on the top side to allow LNG access to the river at least, but that is a dark river. LNG don't see anything, and Weibo are going to use it once again.
Weibo's Barons have looked odd, but have been exemplary. Scout's going to go win, unbinds his soul, and then jumps back, but Breathe is now going to mark him, and Weibo is still on the Baron as far as we know. Light and Tarzan trying to chip away at it. Light's going to dash back. Crisp going forward as well. Breathe on that front line. Curtains open. Tarzan's in the pit. Breathe gets the stun onto WeiWei. Meanwhile, Zika trying to distract the rest of the team on towards the back. The true shot barrage between worlds. WeiWei has to flash away, but Breathe puts him in his place. And now the dive into the back line by Scout is not enough to take anyone from Weibo down. It's all on Scout and Gala here, you feel. But Weibo aren't giving them a second to breathe. Gala steps in, does nothing with his mortal reminder. Breathe, though, will be taken out by Scout now. Weibo still trying to advance. Crisp can dance his way around the fight. No flashes available to them, apart from on Xiaohu, who does have the TP, and LNG are being herded like cattle down towards the bottom side. Scout will stack up the Q3 on the Grump, the TP coming in from Xiaohu as well, and Scout is just trying to distract Weibo for as long as possible.
Exactly, Medic. Scout knows that he can win in this skirmish, but he's just being shepherded into Weibo's base. The damage is good enough. The problem for Weibo is they spent a lot of time chasing Scout. The fight, though, we turn our attention to it. Weibo is just drawing LNG in. Kobe's been saying it for the whole series. Zika flashes in with no follow-up. He gets chunked out immediately. Keep your eyes on Scout here. He tries to find a good ulti onto two, but a nice sidestep comes out from Light, and we're back on the Baron.
Scout dead for 25 seconds, does have the TP, but I think LNG might not take the battle around this. Crisp able to dodge away with that grand entrance. WeiWei going in for Xiaohu, who does have the Between Worlds back up. He's being chased up towards the top side. Between Worlds coming out as well as Breathe dives in for the enemy jungler. And WeiWei, there's no way away. He survives this day. LNG lose the Baron. Weibo secure it. They take the kill as well, and then they can back away afterwards.
Beautiful again from Weibo. They return to the Baron, they force again, and there's plenty of time to rotate over to the Dragon. Baron-empowered recalls means they can reset and run straight over to put themselves to soul point on top of it.
Phenomenal execution once more from Weibo. They knew they overchased, but they also knew that that meant that Scout would just be isolated from the fight. One of the biggest threats gone means that there's no way that Weibo wouldn't win another fight, and Malignant bringing Xiaohu's ultimate back off cooldown, ready for the second fight, was massive, as they now find themselves with a 9,000 gold lead.
And about to be on soul point 2 for LNG. The light at the end of the tunnel is looking like a pinprick more than anything. No real escape from them for this situation.
Oh no, Medic, the light at the end of the tunnel is 601 with 3 fully completed items.
That's
and they
true.
do not want to get to the end of that tunnel.
For Weibo, as you say, it is all done by that Nexus falling. They are 9,000 gold ahead now. They have this Red Bull Baron power play for the next minute and 40 seconds. They're going to sync up 2 waves. Top and mid are their objectives. Hung will look for something. Hex flash across the wall. Maybe find Xiaohu. You've got to, but the Zhonya's is going to have enough space for Xiaohu. The depth charge onto Light. He's not got the flash, but has the cleanse, and now here comes Xiaohu between worlds once again. Glacial Prism will hit Crisp, looking for the quickness on the backline, but now Hung and Gala are left out to dry. Gala trying to do everything he can, but Light just jumps in. They call him Light Yagami for a reason. There's a death note with your name on an LNG. Scout looks for the great seal and manages to turn the fight around. Somehow, Scout is revived, and now Breathe pushing in the bot side. Xiaohu's going to help him push it out. They'll take the inhibitor, but LNG hold on to hope.
Only solo laners are left alive. Scout comes up with a triple here. Still has Yone. That is enough for them to at least get some gold, but it's at the cost still of the split push. Breathe finished off the inhibitor. Let's take another look at the start. Tarzan is the only one kind of exposing himself as target. He allows Light to arcane shift away, and then you find yourselves in a situation as LNG where you're really heavily committed towards this Maokai that peels, and as soon as the rest of Weibo come in, you know, Xiaohu with the ultimate from Aurora, they get the lead in the team fight. It's only here, Vedius, that the big turnaround from Scout to Q3 into ultimate, and Zika there for the extra damage.
So much gold for Scout. Xiaohu's able to get another kill, but my goodness.
Oh my god.
That was not the reaction.
Light arcane shifts in, and immediately you turn around and like, oh god. Scout's done it again. And remember game 2, it was a similar situation. Weibo were well in the driver's seat, and then LNG found one team fight, and it all began to swing from there.
All I'll say is that 9k gold lead has gone down, but a TP flank.
Scout has IE now. Scout's looking for the flank onto Breathe. Tarzan and Chris trying to help out their top laner. Scout jumps forward. Counter-strike coming out. There's the stun. Nature's Grasp being used as well for the root, but Scout's able to avoid it. True Shot Barrage coming out. Scout's down to half HP. He'll dodge away with the Q3. Depth charge as well between worlds. Fate sealed him to the backline, but Scout's already down, and Weibo have found the fight they were looking for in the bot side. Scout already dead. Gala walking away, but I think Xiaohu will not let him escape. Gala managing to get away for a second. The Mystic Shot just wide, but Breathe comes in with a counter strike, and it's all done by the Nexus falling.
Triple there now for Breathe, and it's Weibo inside the base.
They're just the masters of mojo. Somehow, whenever you doubt them, Weibo will come out on top. Again, the underdog run continues as Weibo will make their way to semis.
An incredible performance from Weibo, defying expectations once more.
Some revenge for regionals coming in with some good prep, with some focus on team fighting, and some Barons, Vedius. Oh, the Barons.
Great Barons from Weibo.
Redemption for Tarzan as well. We're going to hand it over to the analyst desk to break down that series, and what a series it was.
Absolutely never, ever bet against Weibo Gaming. We're going to be setting up for the interview. Tarzan will be spoken to as they get a grand applause here in the Adidas Arena in Paris, because they always put on a show, Emily.
Yeah, and how much it must mean to Tarzan specifically, right? He was on that team with Scout last year, who failed like that LNG roster, goes on to Weibo. We talked about how much these two teams know each other as we see LNG taking their final bow. Congrats to them. But yeah, this Weibo team,
Congrats for what?
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Commiserations, commiserations.
Yeah, but like, congrats